please stand to salute the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Perhowski, will you please do the roll call?
Mr. Capel.
Here.
Mrs. Kozer. Here. Dr. Laughlin. Here. Mr. Merle Elmusic.
Here.
Mr. Petracco.
Here.
Mr. Repko.
Here.
Mr. Tillman.
Here.
Mr. Urban.
Here.
Mr. Merle DeLuza.
Here.
All here.
At this time, I would like to hand the meeting over to our solicitor, Mr. Naples.
Thank you. I would like to report that the Board of School Directors held an executive session tonight, beginning at 6 o'clock. The matters discussed were the following. We discussed a personnel issue involving a custodian. We also discussed negotiations with the current GLEA teacher's contract. And that was the extent of our executive session. Mr. President, I don't have a report beyond that.
Thank you, Mr. Naples. Moving into education and planning, Mr. Repko.
I'd like to start with our student report.
In the senior high school, regarding academics, Monday, April 29th, over 25 students were inducted into the Science National Honor Society, and on Tuesday, May 7th, over 25 students were inducted into the Math National Honor Society, Nu Alpha Theta. Additionally, 2 students won various categories of the American Legion Auxiliary Essay Contest of the thousands of regional entries overall. They include Regina Zeza and Jack Sacraponte, both for the unit and council winner, with guidance and encouragement from Mr. Servakis, their AP Human Geography teacher. Regina and Jack's essays will now be judged at the state level. Regarding the arts, on Wednesday, May 22nd, the Greater Latrobe Senior High School Cabaret will perform in the CSC during both blocks of GL time. Senior Kimmy Pentoas made the design for Bots IQ t-shirts that sold at EWCTC, and she's also focusing on graphic design there. For athletics, Tuesday, May 7th, the Greater Latrobe Senior High School Cats competed in the first ever inter-district baseball game. Students from the junior high school and high school life skills classroom competed against student athletes from Mount Pleasant, Derry, and Ligonier Valley. On Wednesday, May 22nd, the Parade of Champions for all spring sports and the band will occur during homeroom. For career and future readiness opportunities, on Tuesday, April 30th, the Next Career and College Fair was a big success. All high school students and staff had the opportunity to visit the fair that included over 50 stations in the main gym. Seniors Belle Blasi, Ella Bulova, Sam Kiesel, Sarah Lazeski, Corinne Wright, and Austin Ann qualified for and competed at the Future Business Leaders of America tournament in Hershey. Austin placed 7th. Students from the Integrated Studies Project-Based Learning course finished their projects. These included creating a barbershop, completely redoing an antique truck, and renovating the greenhouse, and creating a miniature golf course behind the high school's playground area. And on Thursday, May 30th, graduation will be at Memorial Stadium, and the weather date is May 31st. For citizenship, Wednesday, May 8th, the Lighthouse team led the first annual Student Leadership Day, which helped bring awareness to the Greater Latrobe community of the many leadership opportunities facilitated among and by our high school students. On Thursday, May 9th, the second annual Wildcat Wellness Day occurred. It was double the size from last year and encompassed the entirety of the high school meet gym. Grades 7 through 12 participated. In the junior high on May 2nd, the junior high jazz band concert occurred, and then May 14th through 15th, Keystone testing is occurring for algebra. Today, May 14th, the junior high band and chorus spring concert is happening, and on May 22nd, the CEO in the classroom for our 8th grade students will be happening. 12 presenters from local businesses will discuss job skills, do group activities to develop an app, and develop entrepreneurial skills. Each student will participate in 3 activities. On May 23rd, there will be a Kennywood field trip for the 8th grade students and a field day for the 7th grade students, which all students will participate in various activities for the day. And then on May 29th, 8th grade move day. On May 29th, 8th grade move-up day will occur, and the 8th grade students will go to the senior high school for the afternoon to prepare for their 9th grade school year. Any questions? Okay, starting with all three schools, on May 24th will be the senior walkthrough. Mountain View started off 6th grade camp from the 13th to the 15th. May 15th through 17th, Bagley will be there, and then the 20th through 22nd, LES will be there. Grade 6 has their elementary career day on May 28th, and on May 19th, 113 girls from all three elementary schools will participate in Girls on the Run 5K at the waterfront in Pittsburgh. Starting with LES, each grade will get to take a field trip this month. On May 8th, their elementary art show was a success. May 9th, grades 4, 5, and 6, band, and grades 5 and 6 chorus concerts performed great shows for friends and families. On May 16th, grade 6 took a trip to EWCTC, and then grades 3 through 6 have their summer games on May 23rd. The next day on May 24th will be the annual 6th grade kickball tournament. May 28th, grades pre-K through 2nd will have their summer games. The next day on May 29th, there will be a Kona Ice Treat sponsored by the PTO. Also on May 29th is a 6th grade dance party, and then the next day on the 30th is a 6th grade clap out. Moving to Mountain View, May 7th art show was also successful. May 8th, grade 6 toured EWCTC as well. Also on May 8th, grade 3 had their health fair. May 22nd, 4th grade will have their end of the year show. On May 23rd, 6th grade will have their dance party. May 24th, kindergarten will also have their end of the year show. May 28th, grades 3, 4, and 5 have their field day. And on May 29th, kindergarten, grades 1 and 2 have their field day. Moving finally to Bagley, they also all grades had field trips this month. May 6th, they had their elementary art show, which was a success. May 8th, grades 4, 5, and 6 band concert performed. Great shows for friends and families also. May 9th, 6th grade had their party. Girls on the Run had their 5K yesterday, as well as Heart and Soul, which was good for them. May 14th today, grade 6 went to EWCTC. The Caring Cats Breakfast is May 22nd, also the Superintendent Awards Assembly, and the Kindergarten End of Year Program. And then on May 23rd, grades 3 through 6 have their summer games, and finally, Bagley Fun Day is May 29th. Are there any questions?
Maddie, don't leave. Alexis, come on up. This is the last month that our student reps will be reporting out to the board, and I just want to commend you on a fantastic job. It's certainly not easy coming up and presenting the building accomplishments and happenings to the Board of Education. I still get nervous to come up here. I can't even imagine being a senior in junior in high school and coming up here and doing this. But they did a fantastic job. We wish you the best. Alexis, I know you're heading off to Duquesne. Can you talk about that to the board for a second?
Sure. For the 2024-2025 school year, I'm heading to Duquesne University. I plan to major in Spanish and then get my pre-law certificate with the intention of going into immigration law or personal injury.
Outstanding. And Maddie loved this so much that she applied to be a building rep for the 24-25 school year when she's a senior, and she was accepted, so she will be back with us next year reporting out on the building. So thank you both. Fantastic job, and I wish you the best. Have a great summer.
Thank
okay?
you so much.
Just a small- We need a photo.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I'll see you.
Yes, you will. Thank you.
Mr. Mays, come on up in there.
Yeah.
Mr. Mays in the back, okay, he can do the one between two.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Also this evening, we would like to recognize our PMEA All-State Band and Chorus qualifiers. That would be Regina Zeza, and come on guys. Jack Dixon, Nathan Shashura, and Abigail Wolfgang. Along with them tonight is Ryan Checkeye. He is our band director. You met him a couple months ago when he talked about the band uniforms. But I'm going to turn it over to Ryan to talk about these students.
Thank you. On behalf of the music department, it is my pleasure to recognize these students for their outstanding achievements. So to be a part of this process, these students have to audition to be a part of the district level festivals. Then they go to these festivals and audition against all the other participants at the festival to move on to the regional level, and then finally to the all-state level. Our juniors here, so Regina Zeza and Jack Dixon, are now qualified to start the application and audition process for the NAFME, the National Association of Music Education, All Eastern Division Conference, which is next April, and it is in Connecticut. So it's a pretty rigorous application process that involves the entire Northeast of the United States. We're starting that process tomorrow when Regina's audition begins. So these students just absolutely put in phenomenal work and incredible efforts to have achieved this. It is our honor to recognize them. Abby Wolfgang is not here tonight, as she is with the Westmoreland Cultural Trust, receiving a recognition in excellence for vocal performance. So she's getting another award tonight, which is why she's not here. But she extends her thank you for the recognition tonight. I can read off that at SATES, they auditioned for a chair placement. Regina was second chair, trumpet 3. Jack Dixon received 9th chair in his part. Nathan Shashura was 20th chair in the choir, and Abby Wolfgang was 7th chair. So again, phenomenal achievements, and on behalf of the entire music department, we thank you for your continued efforts in making GL proud. Thank you.
Come on, your turn. Congratulations. 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 Nobody wants to give me hugs anymore. I appreciate it.
All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you.
We're all one, guys.
One more.
Thank you so much.
Wait, one more.
Wait, there's more.
Anybody else?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You can hear our 7th and 8th grade band and chorus concert going on in the background, and I think this is a true testament to the quality of our music educators that we have K-12. These students do such a fantastic job, and it's a true testament to Mr. Checkeye and crew, like I said, K-12. Also this evening, we would like to recognize our EWCTC Skills USA state winners. I see Summer back there. I do not see Robert or Keegan, but Summer, come on up. Mrs. Kozar, would you like to come up and...
Congratulations, Summer. So Skills USA, for the rest of the board who isn't part of the WCTC, it's a hands-on, go and prove and show what you can do, and they're usually given a prompt. How early did you get your prompt for your state competition? About a month before. Okay. So I know Keegan and Robert got their digital media one about 2 weeks before, I think. They were given a prompt of a horror show. They had to write and produce a horror movie. And their tagline was that they can't see the scar. And they won first place in the state for that. So that means they're going on to nationals. At nationals, I think they get their prompt 24 hours ahead of time. And they have to write, create, produce, film to compete. So at EWCTCs, these are the pinnacles. These are our best of our best. And Summer was 3rd in the state. I mean, that's a heck of an achievement. Only the first get to go on to nationals, and that's in June in
What did you make?
Yeah, to decorate a pie, or decorate a cake, make a pie, dozen cookies, scones, sticky buns, eclairs, cream puffs, and 3 different variations of bread.
At least it was just like a couple of things.
Yeah.
And how much time did you have to do
We
this?
had from 9 to 2. So
And you had no dough made up ahead of time
they had the bread, that was basically it. You had to make everything else.
from scratch?
Yeah, they had like the dough. Yeah.
That's a big.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Certificate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, I ate 10 pounds just here. We okay?
Maybe you could just open your mic up a little bit, just so it's screeches, they say. 1, 2, 3. Got it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I've been trying to lose weight. I think I gained 10 pounds just listening to everything that she made there.
I think she needs to go apply for the University makeup.
Continuing on, Mr. Bates, enrollment report, please.
Yes, thank you. The enrollment, as always, report is attached. Just a quick update on kindergarten numbers. Right now, we are sitting at 198 students registered for kindergarten. Last year, this time, we were sitting at 188, so we are currently plus 10 over last year. And so if you know anybody who needs to register, glc.us, on the website, you can use them to sign up. And thank you, Mr. Rocco.
Thank you. Next week, we're going to ask you to approve Western Pennsylvania School for the Deaf Summer Extended School Year Program. Same with the New Story Summer Extended Program, the Delphi Education Summer Program. We're going to ask you to approve St. Francis University College and High School Cooperative Agreement for the 2024-2025 school year. We're going to ask you to approve the CAMCO Physical and Occupational Therapy Agreement for 24-25 school year. We're going to ask you to approve the proposed school calendar for 2024-2025 and ask to approve the Learning Lab Latrobe Little Learners Program update for 2024 to 2029. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Rocco. Going into finance, Mr. Watson.
So Officer Dare normally keeps very detailed notes on my finance presentations because I know how interesting they are. And I thought that maybe Officer Swiderski would do that, but Officer Soliday, looks like it's you.
Wait for yourself.
You want me to walk out and see if I can find him?
You want me to?
Speaking of,
I'll go make it.
I think our solicitor already walked to the restroom, so yeah. Hey, Jess, what's the button I hit?
It is on the side.
Right here. And just hit the arrow.
Yes.
Okay, so just to remind everybody, we have to adopt the proposed final budget by May 31st. Okay, this will not be the final budget. We'll come back with the final budget at the June meeting. At that June meeting, we'll talk about if there is a need for a tax levy or a millage increase. That's not what we're trying to accomplish tonight. I'm just trying to show you this, provide a snapshot for you of where we stand today. We have several members of you sit on the Finance Committee. We've been meeting since October. We've been trying to break the budget apart into little pieces that we can sort of have dialogue about, okay? And this is kind of where we stand just today, okay? So I'm going to start with our revenue budget. So the proposed final revenue budget for 24-25, local revenues projected to be about $38.5 million. Again, they make up about 58% of the revenue that funds our school district, okay? We're looking at an increase of $143,000 dollars in local revenue, which is around 0.37%. And I can explain why it's only that amount. But before I explain that, I want to highlight some positives. Our real estate tax collections are projected to increase by $100,000, okay, and that's because it's based on 1.1 million in assessed property value growth, okay. Every November, the county certifies the assessed value of all the property within our school district and within our community, and we're very fortunate that we've always seen an increase in our assessed value. If you were to talk to some of our neighboring districts, just districts throughout Westmoreland County, that is not always the case. So that is a positive for Greater Latrobe School District to see natural growth, okay? Now, the reason why we're seeing such a minimal increase overall, though, is we received $193,000 more in state subsidy, which means we have to reduce real estate revenue by that dollar amount, because you'll see on my next slide, it appears under the state subsidy amount. The reason we're seeing an increase is historically we've received about $950,000 in gambling dollars, okay? Well, it's grown to $1,144,000 for the district. It's grown at the state level from $777 to $930 million. So people are getting out and playing the slots, and we're benefiting from that, okay? And just to give you an idea, what that means is the more money that we get from the state, when you get your tax bill, you'll see a reduced dollar amount, assessed value of your property on that tax bill. Okay, historically it's been about $1,300, which means that you net a savings of about $122. Now it's going to be about $1,600 or $1,700, and your net savings is going to be about $150. So the more money that the state receives in gaming money, the more it benefits our taxpayers within our community, okay? So that's a good thing too. Earned income tax collections are projected to increase by $150,000. This is based on trend, and it's also based on the fact that our community members have increased earnings each year. Okay, so that's another positive. Investment income is projected to increase by $253,000, and that's just based on higher rates of return. We're seeing CDs at around 5.5%, money markets at a little over 5%, which is up quite a bit from what we've received previously. So that's a benefit to the district, okay? So let's look at the local, let's look at state. State revenue projections are around $26.2 million. It makes up about 40% of our total revenue. We're looking at an increase of about $2.5 million, which is a little less than 11%. Basic ed subsidy is projected to increase by $2,185,000. Okay, it's been adjusted to our 23-24 allotment. Plus, I've included 75% of what the governor's proposed public education funding increase that was provided at the February meeting. Okay, so governor normally comes out in February with all of his goals and his budgetary objectives, and then he works with the House and the Senate. It kind of doesn't always get what he wants, but I will tell you, last year he got he got a significant portion of what he requested. Right now, I only have about 75%. If I had 100%, that would be about an additional $475,000 in revenue, just to give you that idea. Now, that's what I'm talking here about funding increase. I have 96% of his overall basic ed budget built in. If I had 100%, it'd be about an additional $475,000. Okay, any questions on that? Okay. Property tax reduction subsidy, that's what I talked about on the last slide. So I'm getting $193,000, or we are getting $193,000 more in gaming money through the state. So that has an impact on our local revenue, but it showed a negative impact on local revenue from a budgetary standpoint, but a positive impact on the state revenue side. PSER's retirement subsidies projected to increase by $232,000. The employer contribution rate, a good thing, it decreased from 34% to 33.9%. State law requires that Pennsylvania fund 50% of our retirement costs. Our overall retirement costs are going up at $460,000 or $470,000. That's just because wages are going up, okay, or projected to go up. So let's look at federal funding. Federal revenue projections are around 1.1%, which is around $1.1 million, which is 2% of our total revenue. We're looking at a decrease of a little less than $1.1 million, or a little less than 50%. And the majority of that is ESSER's funding. So because of COVID, we received about $7 million in ESSER funding. I believe it's definitely been 3 years, it may even have gone back 4 years when we started receiving that funding. It was all to be spent by September 30th of 2024. We've spent it. We allocated about $1 to $1.5 million per year each year, and now that's all gone, so we had to make a reduction to our federal revenue. So total revenue projections, $68,818,405. It's an increase of $1,627,073, or 2.53%. So now we're just going to look at a very high level at our expenditure budget, and then I'll drill down into it a little bit more deeply. Building and department budgets make up $20.3 million of our budget. It's an increase of $89,000, which is around 0.44%. And an example of building and department budgets, again, this is not reflective of salary and benefits. It's textbooks, it's supplies, it's technology, it's special education, it's student placement and tuition. So it's everything unrelated to salary and benefits for the staff that work here and provide services to our students. So then there's salary and benefits. That line item's about $40.4 million. We're looking at an increase of a little over $2 million, which is around 5.32%. Insurances are going up almost $6 million. I'm sorry, budgeted of about $6 million, which is an increase of around $355,000, or 6.34%. So total expenditures we're looking at are $66,677,744. That is an increase of a little less than $2.5 million, or 3.87%. So as I mentioned, let's drill down into the expenditures a little bit further. Some of our major expenditure areas that I'd like to highlight, you can look at 4 categories that make up 86% of our operating costs. Salary and benefits make up 70% of our operating costs. Debt service is the amount of money that we have set aside that helps to fund bond issuances that we've taken out to help support our $266 million in capital assets that we have throughout our school district. So that budget line item is around 7%. Transportation is the cost to transport our students to and from school, as well as outside placements. It's about 5% of our operating costs, and then we have plant operations at around 4% of our operating costs. And I'll dig into those a little bit further here as we go further. So salary and benefits, as I mentioned, they make up 70% of our operating costs. It's projected to be about $28.5 million, an increase of a little less than $1.5 million, or 5.5% roughly. Just to remind everybody, we have over 400 employees district-wide. We're a service-oriented business. It makes sense. The majority of our costs are going to be tied up in staffing, okay? We provide services, we provide education to our students. That makes up the largest portion of our costs. That's why we have over 400 employees district-wide. What we have to keep in mind is we have 2 expiring contracts, okay? So that has to be in the back of our minds. These contracts represent over 70% of our employees. So that's over 300 of our employees. 300 of our 400 employees are represented by these 2 contracts that are expiring at the end of the school year. Benefits, projected budget, $8.3 million, an increase of $453,000, around 5.7%. Medical premiums are increasing by around 12%. That's pretty significant. We've been pretty fortunate over the last several years, but these last 2 years have been tough for us. I think we had 10% last year, 12% this year. We do participate in a self-funded health insurance consortium that has really performed very well over the last several years. Our 10-year trend is around 4.13%. Our 5-year trend is 7.3%. And market trend is around 7.2%. So you can see the last few years have really impacted us negatively. We're not alone. Many schools, many businesses are dealing with the weight loss drugs and the costs associated with those weight loss drugs, and trying to determine how we can best kind of monitor that and control those costs. Salary and benefits moving forward. Let's look at PSER's retirement. It's about $9.5 million. It's an increase of around $464,000. The employer contribution rate, as I mentioned, is going from 34 to 33.9%. I always think it's interesting to note this budget line item increased from 2%. It used to be 2% of our budget, which made up $1 million. Now it's 14%. It's now $9 million of our total budget. So this increase has occurred since 2009-10. Now we've absorbed it. You look at projections, it shows that the employer contribution rates potentially going to grow up to around 38%. There were years where it was going from 1% to 4% to 8%. You know, we're no longer seeing those significant spikes. But just keep in mind, for every dollar we pay out, we're paying an extra 34 cents in retirement. So it still is very impactful to our budget. Again, people have asked, well, you know, what can you do to control this? This is a state law. There's no local control. The board, you as board members, you cannot act, you cannot do anything differently. The only thing that you can do to control your retirement costs is to control wages, because it's a percentage of your overall wages, right? Debt service. So debt service projected budget is around $4.4 billion. I'm not recommending any changes to that line item. Our current outstanding debt is around $9.5 million. That's how much we have left to pay. It's all for Latrobe Elementary School. We pay around $4 million per year, and we will continue to pay around $4 million a year until 2029. Last year, the board supported a $1 million increase that generated additional money to the debt service line item that will help us to maintain the $260 million in capital assets we have. I know we've had board retreats and we're talking about potential building improvements that are needed. That money can go towards future borrowings if we decide to go that direction. Transportation is 5% of our operating costs. Transportation budget is around $3.3 million. I'm not proposing any change. This budget includes the cost to transport regular education students, non-public students, special ed students, and all extracurricular students. We're currently in a 5-year contract. It began in July 1 of 2020. Year 1 resulted in a 5.9% decrease. Years 2 through 5 called for a 2.75% increase. That's around $92,000 per year. We've been able to move some things around, which has resulted in us not needing to increase it by $92,000. So we can hold that budget amount level. Plan operations, 4% of costs. Plan operations budget's around $2.3 million. We're looking at a decrease of around $200,000 or 7.82%. As I keep talking about, we have significant assets that we need to maintain. This budget covers repair and maintenance costs to maintain all of our buildings, as well as utility costs. The majority of the decrease is a result of a decrease in utility costs for electricity. Electricity costs spiked over a year or so ago, and we were forced to lock in at 11 cents per kilowatt hour. We did a very short contract, we only did 12 months. And I'm glad we did. We were fortunate enough to lock in at 0.075 for the next 2 years. So we're seeing a decrease in that budget line item as a result. And then the remaining portion of our budget makes up 14%. It's around $10 million. It's increasing by about 288 or a little less than 3%. And what it covers are instructional materials, supplies, books, software, special education services, student placement, life skills, hearing, vision, speech, emotional. You can read that. Technology, student-teacher classroom supports, and other student supports such as guidance, nursing, and library services. Tuition, Eastern Westmoreland Career and Technology Center, Cyber Charter School tuition, and other local education agency placements that have occurred. Okay? So my recommendation for this proposed final budget is to approve a proposed final budget in the amount of $66,677,744 and continue to evaluate operating expenditures before next month, as well as continue to review potential revenue funding sources, especially the anticipated level of state funding. Okay, so we have a little bit more homework. I'll continue to report out to the Finance Committee, who will have a final recommendation in the month of June. Do you have any questions? Okay. Now, I know we have some new faces around the table, so I wanted to take this opportunity, if it's okay, to review the PA Property Tax Rebate Program that is also on the agenda tonight. Okay, this is a great thing for our community. It's something we've implemented a few years ago. It's for those members that are most needy. It's very confidential. They just call in and meet with me. They just have to provide some documentation. But this program initially is administered by the PA Department of Revenue. It's funded from lottery and slot proceeds. You have to have a household income limit of no greater than $45,000 to be eligible. Okay, program eligibility, you have to be age 65 or older, a widow or widower, age 50 or older, age 18 or more and permanently disabled. State rebate amounts. So if your household income is between $0 and $8,000 and you meet those other criteria, you're eligible for a rebate of $650. And then you can read the rest of those. You know, 8,001 to 15 is 500, and you can see 300 and 250. Okay? What our guidelines are is we are going to piggyback, and what we have been doing, because this isn't new, but I just want to make sure to try to get this message out as best we can. We want to piggyback on the existing state program, except we're only issuing the rebates for property owners, so we're excluding renters. Okay, the state provides some level of funding for renters. There's a little bit more work involved with that, so we focus only on the property owners. And we do not do supplemental payouts. If you are at such a level that you're at the most neediest of needy, you can get more than that 650. I believe it's up to about 950, but there's a lot more paperwork involved, okay? We're not recommending that at this point in time. So how do they go about doing that? Again, they need to contact me. There's an application and documentation that they would need to submit to me. I'd ask them to complete our district application form, but basically all they have to do is provide the state document, which is the copy of the PA 1000 form. They have to provide proof that they actually received that rebate. So if the state approves you and you get the money, I only need that. I don't need you to do anything further, because if you're approved by the state, you're approved by the school district. And then the only other thing I would need was a copy of your school tax bill, okay? And here's how our rebates are structured. We would rebate would be 10% of the state amount. Rebates would not exceed 100% of the property real estate tax. And the maximum rebate would be $65, and this is the chart. So the state reimburses a maximum of $65, we would reimburse a maximum of $65. So what I've done is I've notified our tax collectors, I've notified individuals that I know that file taxes for people in our community, hopefully try to get as much publicity as we can possibly get. It's also, there's a section of the website that is dedicated to this. But if the board has other suggestions on how we can get that word out, I'm open. You know, we want to get this out. This is a good thing the boards have offered in the past, and hopefully we'll continue to offer. And if there's individuals out there that are needy or in need of this, we want to make sure that they know it's available, okay? And that's all I have. Anybody have any questions? Well, thank you for your time.
Moving on, next week, the treasurer's report is as attached. Next week, we will move on payment of bills and approve gifts, grants, and donations. Then we will move to approve tax assessment appeal settlements, or appeal settlements for case numbers of the following. Next, we will move to approve the 24-25 basis cost natural gas agreement. Then moving on, approve life AD&D insurance agreement with Equitable. Approve auditing services proposal agreement with Zelenkowski Axelrod LLC. Appoint Act 511 tax collectors for 24-25. The 2024-2025 designation of depositories. Authorization to invest funds for 2024-2025. reappoint school district treasurer July 1st, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2025. Approve 2025 real estate tax assessment appeals program. Approve the 2024-2025 district tax rebate program. Approve the 2024-2025 general fund proposed final operating budget. And the next finance committee, and the finance committee meetings will be, are from April 29th, 2024, are as attached. The next finance committee meeting will be Tuesday, June 11th, 2024, at 5:00 p.m. in the senior high school library. Moving on, facility operations and planning, Mr. Goffel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Guys, have attachment of the committee meeting minutes from last week, May 8th. And for next week, I asked the solicitor to add a resolution to the agenda, put on RFP to replace the junior high roof. And we want the RFPs to be completed and submitted by July 31st, 2024. At facilities operations and planning committee meeting, July 31st. Will be Wednesday, June 5th, 4:30 p.m. at the Avenue.
Thank you, Mr. Goffel. Going on, transportation, Mr. Merle L. Music.
No report this evening.
Thank you. Student activities and recreation, Mr. Petrarca.
The student activities and recreation committee meeting minutes of April 17th, 2024, didn't see attachment.
Thank you, Mr. Petrarca. Community relations, Mr. Urban.
Yes, the Greater Latrobe Parks and Recreation Commission meeting minutes from March 21st, 2024, minutes from the attachments. And next Greater Latrobe Parks and Recreation Commission meeting will be May 16th, 2024, 4:30 p.m. on Green Township Municipal Building.
Thank you, Mr. Urban. The Westmoreland Intermediate Union, Mr. Tillman.
Westmoreland Intermediate Unit summary of the previous board meeting is attached. The next WIU board meeting will be May 28th at 7 p.m. at the Fort Media Room on Bellevue Road.
Thank you, Mr. Tillman. Board policy, Mrs. Pizza.
Yes, thank you. It looks like we're going to retire board policy 255. Is that in reference to it's redundant or it doesn't apply anymore?
It's redundant in board policy 252 now.
Okay. Thank you. So that will do that next week. And I'm just, we will have our senior recognition for our EWCTC seniors next Monday here in the high school auditorium at 7 p.m. It's a lovely evening. And our minutes from our last meeting of the Joint Operating Committee from April 24th are an attachment, and our next meeting will be Wednesday, May 22nd at 7 p.m.
Thank you, Mrs. Pizza. For technology, there is no report tonight, and I'm going into superintendent's recommendations. Mr. Petrarca.
Next week, we'll approve 2 resignations, one personal and one for retirement. Mrs. Colombo has been a long time secretary at the junior high school, and she will be retiring. I talked to her today on the phone. She can't retire soon enough. She's pretty excited. We have substitute teachers as listed. Next week, we will bring forth to you at least one music teacher / choral director. We actually had a second resignation this week. It's not listed under the resignations. I imagine we'll make it there for next week.
The second one will not.
It will not. It'll be later. But we're actually going to have to end up hiring 2 music teachers because of a recent resignation. We have summer workers listed under personnel appointments classified. We will move on an assistant cheerleader / pep coach. And I just want to echo what Mrs. Kozar just said. I got an email today from Mr. Weimer at EWCTC. He's their administrative director. And he was encouraging all of you to attend the recognition night. Again, that's May 20th in the auditorium. The Senior High Awards Assembly is on the 23rd at 8 a.m. in the auditorium. The school walks are Friday the 24th. No school on Monday the 27th. Baccalaureate services on the 29th at Latrobe Community Ministries. And our last day of instruction, believe it or not, the last half day is May 30th, followed by graduation. Mrs. Prohosky has armbands for our board members. If you are interested in attending graduation, just see her and she'll take care of you. We have our regular meeting next Tuesday, the 21st, and then our meetings for June are listed. Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Franco. Are there any additional questions from the board? This meeting is adjourned.